willkommen zu einem besonderen Nachmittag, Freitagnachmittag. Wir sind hier bei Kunstobjekt The Belly in the Garden von Jenny Marketou, die 1 Monat lang in der Seestadt gelebt hat und im Rahmen des Projekts Turning the Tide dieses Kunstwerk geschaffen hat. Und bevor wir loslegen, darf ich noch den Christian Schomberger bitten, ein paar Worte für den 22. Wiener Gemeindebezirk zu sprechen.
Also es freut mich, dass Sie hier sind. Christian Stromberger, bin der Vorsitzende der Kulturkommission in der Donaustadt und repräsentiere hier also den Bezirk. Und darf ich auch meine Kollegin aus der Kulturkommission, die Gabi Blank, bitten, da sie sehr, sehr initiativ und engagiert in der Seestadt Kunstprojekte unterstützt und voranbringt. Ja, also es ist für uns als Bezirk sehr, sehr wichtig, dass es Projekte gibt oder möglichst qualitätsvolle Projekte und viele Projekte auch in der ganzen Donaustadt und besonders hier in der Seestadt. Also deswegen freut es mich sehr, dass dieses Projekt Turning the Tides von der Wiener Bildungsakademie wirklich toll umgesetzt werden konnte als internationales Projekt, was auch besonders wichtig ist, gerade hier in der Seestadt, wo es so viele Menschen aus verschiedenen Nationen und mit kulturellen Hintergründen gibt. Ja, also herzlichen Dank noch einmal und vor allem natürlich der Künstlerin hier für dieses Projekt aus Griechenland, die Jenny Marketou. Und ja, ich hoffe, die Menschen haben noch viel Freude hier an diesem Projekt und ich danke Ihnen.
Auch von meiner Seite ein herzliches Willkommen hier in der Seestadt. Danke, lieber Bernd Herger, dass ich von Anfang an dieses Projekt ein bisschen mit begleiten durfte, Turning the Tide. Danke, Jenny Marketou, dass du heute wieder da bist. Und ich freue mich wirklich drüber und freue mich auch, dass das Ganze jetzt aufgezeichnet wird und dass wir dann lange die Möglichkeit haben werden, uns diese Sache anzusehen. Dankeschön, danke für euer Kommen.
Bevor es losgeht, möchte ich noch die Ingrid Spörk zu mir bitten. Wie die Jenny gesagt hat, sie will ein 105 Jahre altes Boot in die Seestadt bringen, habe ich mir zuerst gedacht, oh je, wie werden wir das schaffen? Und haben aber dann die Unterstützung der 3420 bekommen, die uns hier dieses Grundstück zur Verfügung gestellt hat. Wir dürfen hier bis Dezember dieses Jahres das Boot haben und die Jenny hat schon gesagt, es gibt schon eine Idee für nachher und ich darf die Ingrid bitten, auch ein paar Worte zu sagen.
Ja, also ich darf auch im Namen der Wien 3420 Aspern Development AG mich bedanken für Ihr Kommen. Wir haben das Boot ja tatsächlich begleitet vom ersten Moment an. Es war gar nicht so leicht, das hierher zu transportieren. Es war gar nicht so leicht, das mit Erde zu befüllen. Es war gar nicht so leicht, alle Sicherheitsvorkehrungen einzuhalten, die uns hier auferlegt worden sind. Aber wir sind sehr froh, dass es gemeinsam gelungen ist, weil es ist eines der Kunstprojekte, die die Seestadt ausmachen. Also wer die Wien 3420 und die Seestadt kennt, weiß, dass vom ersten Moment an, also lang bevor die ersten Bagger gekommen sind, Kunst immer schon Teil der Seestadtwerdung, der Stadtwerdung war. Mit dem Reinhold Zisser, der heute auch da ist, haben wir eine lange gemeinsame Geschichte schon und man sieht einiges von seinem Wirken in der Seestadt. Wir hoffen, dass wir das Boot noch lange hier haben werden, weil es begeistert die Menschen. Wir haben viele Besucher, die extra herkommen und sich das anschauen. Wir haben aber noch viel mehr. Warum wir das haben, das ist aufgrund der vielen Zusammenarbeiten, Kooperationen mit den unterschiedlichsten Institutionen, mit den unterschiedlichsten Akteuren. Reinhold Zisser, Wiener Bildungsakademie, Turning the Tide, das waren Beispiele, auf die wir sehr stolz sind, über die wir sehr glücklich sind und wir hoffen, dass noch viel mehr kommt. Jetzt freuen wir uns auf den Talk und ich bin sehr gespannt, was die beiden KünstlerInnen uns erzählen werden über ihr Wirken, über ihre Pläne und was ihre Aktivitäten hier in der Seestadt für sie auch bedeuten. Danke.
So, danke schön. Und jetzt wechseln wir schon langsam auf Englisch. So now we switch to English. Jenny, we are very happy that we finally have this boat. It was a long adventure, 4 weeks of fun and solutions. And I remember when we had bought the boat and made a video in the lake. But today this boat is the main focus point. And we wanted to, when you said you come to Vienna, we thought, okay, with who can we make this talk? And we thought there's no better option than Reinhold Zisser, who has done art in the Seestadt in the last years with his very known project Note Gallery, and you also met him during your residency. So now I ask you and Reinhold, for your discussion, and please sit down. And
Okay. So can I start? I want to say that this is for me amazing. It's fantastic to be here. I don't know, I'm very moved, and I want to thank you for being here, but also for making this project, this vessel, continue its life and grow and become part of the landscape of Seestadt. For me, it's very, very special. And I want to thank everybody, because I know that project like this, without the support of the people in the community, cannot survive. And I thank you again. And I see now these plants coming through. It's quite moving, because when I left, I was not sure what will happen. But anyway, I'm here, and I thank you again. And thank you again for sharing this moment with me.
Yeah. No, thank you a lot. I mean, it was actually me and Jenny met the day when she brought this boat here last year in summer. I remember we were kind of scouting for our art summer project in the construction area, like behind you. And out of a sudden, there was a big semi-transporter who had like a ship on its cargo part. So we were like standing there and seeing, okay, there's a ship coming through Seestadt. Then we didn't hesitate and continued on our scouting for the Art in Public Space project that we had. And when we came back, like an hour later, actually, this boat that was passing by on the horizon of Seestadt was standing here. So kind of, which is like next to where we had with this container, our kind of primary station for our art project. So this was like, of course, the moment when I got even more curious. Where is this boat coming from? I mean, I like boats a lot. Kind of, this was like, if you probably the thing I was drawing the most in my life, especially in my childhood, have been boats. So, and then then I saw you being next to it, and I kind of
we
somehow
start talking.
I could see that probably it could be that you're responsible for this boat. There was kind of this idea. And so we started talking, and then crazily, I mean, I don't even know why I asked, because I had like one colleague, one German-American artist. After Jenny, you said that you are from Greece, but also
I live in New York, and I'm based in New York, but I also in Greece.
Yeah.
So, but it was very, I want to say something, maybe to share with the people about the idea of the boat, because when I came here with Turning the Tide with the residency, the whole idea was about new ecologies, but also it was water was the theme of the residency. And when I first came, my idea was to do something for the water, for the man-made lake. But then I realized it would have been very hard to put something in the lake. And then I wanted, I remember that the architect who built who came with the idea of Seestadt, he said that when he made the lake, the man-made lake, he wanted to bring the river into the city. And that started this whole idea. I went out in the river and I found the boat, which It was very fascinating because there were so many stories around this boat. Some people were saying it was 150 years old. Some were saying it was 100 years old. So it was, to me, still fascinating, all those stories that they are connected with this vessel. So I was able, and I want to thank again Gabi and Bernd and everybody who got involved in being able to bring the boat here. And then we took out from the belly of the boat everything, and I decided to turn it into a garden, but a garden that I was hoping will be sustained by the community of Seestadt. There will be. So now we may continue as I see today, it has been growing in its own time, because nature, we cannot control nature. Nature decides. And so we will see what happens next.
So since you said you were really fond of the history and the story of the boat, you found it near the area of Klosterneuburg. Is this right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And like now Bernd said, it's like 105 years old.
Right, that's what...
That's like not a final fact, or is this also just like more some
I
agreement?
think it was, because we did a lot of research, and everybody was... They said that this boat was used after the war to find... in the river, was looking into the river to find leftovers from the war, and then there were some people that they said that then it became a ferry that was bringing people back and forth on the river. But it was close. But we never found the real owner of the boat. Yeah. So they were second-hand owners. But that's also the very interesting part of the story of the vessel. Yeah. A vessel is a metaphor, is a symbolic object that brings people, brings memories, brings stories together. And also it brings stories of the water. And for me, it was very interesting to engage with the water, not only as a water that we drink, that we want to be clean, that we want to have access. I want to bring another point of view to look into the water, through the boats, through the vessels, through the people that they... And then I did this other project with a plastic boat that I went and we sailed on this lake. And that was a beautiful also experience that brought the plastic boat, my experience with this boat. Yeah. So it was a continuing, yes.
So, I mean, something that's very important to think about, even if it's like very obvious, is that you didn't create a sculpture from an anonymous material, from like wood or metal or screws that you bought in the market, but that actually you took an object that by its original meaning was not an art object, but was like a common object, a boat that had like a usage as a tool, and that you by your decision to use this object, you also had to decide to take a common object and to turn it now into a symbol, into an art piece, because an art piece by its function has no functional use anymore.
That's a very good point, because I'm interested as an artist to talk about sustainability and talk about nature and talk about environmental sustainability. I'm very interested in using waste, using things that they are already used and recycle them and make art. And I'm very interested in this aspect of contemporary art, that I don't try to start from scratch to create an object, but how can I reuse an object and create another meaning for that object. So for me, this is part of my practice in a way. The way that I think about contemporary art, that it says to support ideas about sustainability and about climate crisis, about water, but how can we really, us as artists, also think about what kind of material are we using to make art? Because if I use metal, if I use all this extractivist material that we take out of the earth and we hurt, we traumatize our earth, I'm not interested in this.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to make this, and I love to see it growing through using a natural material.
Yeah. By natural, we mean like soil and plants.
Soil, plant, stones, everything, it's filled with everything that we found in this area.
Yeah.
If you see the video, the soil was found here. I went and I picked up the pebbles, those stones. Everything is from here.
Yeah.
The plants, the first plants, they were around that we picked up around the lake. So I'm very interested about using this material that are very connected with the site that I'm doing my projects and my art.
So maybe one more point or question before we maybe then also start to talk about the present and the future of the project. I mean, since the first obvious thing that I pointed out is that you didn't work with like just raw material, but you worked with an object that has a practical purpose. And that's also obvious, you didn't use a new boat. You didn't use a new object. So I know from my practice that I love this moment when you have like an object that has a practical use. It could be a chair, a wooden chair, but then there's a moment when the history that happened to the chair, all the scratches and all the things that happen through time kind of become more important or more like have more weight than the object itself. And I think this is something that's obviously also with this boat, that maybe the history of the boat is also important.
Very important, and that's what I wish. But we did this also in a very limited time. This last fall, I ran out of time. But as time goes by, I created a film actually, which I had the opportunity to screen 2 days ago in an art space in Vienna. I realized that what is still missing and I want to share with the people is the stories that this vessel is carrying and the stories that it can create as a second stage, stories that they are connected with the water. Yeah. They are connected with the history of the river here. Stories that they are also connected with the history of the water here, although it's a man-made escape. I think it will be interesting to juxtapose those histories for me. It's very important. Yeah. So looking into the future of this vessel, actually I want to call it vessel because vessel means so many more things than just a boat. Vessel means transportation, means displacement. And those are issues that they are very, and water has this meaning. It continuous flows, it grows, it has a fluidity, it always moves, and the vessel moves. So I feel maybe in the future, I should think about this fluidity.
Yeah. I think also vessel is more emphasizing the meaning of what it carries. Mm-hmm. Vessel is not talking about like when you call a boat like a yacht, where it's more about the meaning and the beauty of the boat as an object, but vessel really emphasizes the boat as a tool for its content.
Mm-hmm. No, I prefer the word vessel. And that's why thinking about the future, although it's something I have to share with the people in the community in Seestadt, I don't know, I feel maybe this vessel should take another trip. Should maybe go back to where it came from.
Yeah.
Maybe it has to go back and go back into its roots.
Yeah. I mean, there may be a little information, like, I mean, probably most know, but just to have it said, Klosterneuburg is a small city, like 10 kilometers northwest of Vienna at the Danube. So the Danube that goes through Klosterneuburg is the same Danube, obviously, that goes through Vienna and that also goes through this district here. And something that in the moment when I saw the boat, I had to think of, because in Klosterneuburg, also one of our Austrian most important painters and drawers was living, Egon Schiele.
Oh, I see.
So when you Google, when you go on Google, or just when you go to the library or to the museum, and you can find actually that Egon Schiele was drawing boats like this. So if this is like older than 105 years, actually it could even be that this was
one
already,
of his
already depicted in
that would be amazing. I have to find out about this.
Yeah.
So you have to send me the information. I would love to see this, because I realize this sailboat, I don't know if I pronounce correctly, are very popular on the river, and most of it is very close to the water culture of Vienna. And also that's another way looking into the water, is you bring an object which is so close to the water culture of the people of Vienna. It's not something, out of the blue. So I found that at that moment very interesting, and I would like to look more into this information.
And I think now we can also start, or I can start to ask you about your ideas and plans for this artwork, because as we already kind of talked about, like that this object here has a very long history, and in its history of, since it's being put together, since this wood has been put together, it has a long story that has been told. And I think many people, when they think about art objects, they think about the art object as this kind of final form that is not to be changed for eternity. But I think that's not what your intention of this object, of this art is.
As we discussed actually before, I do a lot of public art, but I don't believe the public art should be these monuments that they live for centuries and centuries. I think public art has, because it's connected with nature, is connected with the outdoors, should have a life that is disconnected with time, space, and the environment. So after a certain time, it should dissolve and go with nature. I really believe that it cannot be forever. It is not permanent. I'm against the permanent architecture, monuments that we make for people, for memories, for whatever. I think everything has its time, and then we should let it go where it came from. Especially for me, that I'm using natural material, is very that's another way that it should dissolve and go back to where it came from.
Yes. But if I maybe a question, because I'm not sure if I already know, you would like to have this dissolving or this returning of the material?
I would like to return it back to where it came, which is the river. It goes back into the water where it came from. So that's my imaginary now wish, that we can find a way after a certain time to take this boat, and through a ritual that we all, maybe we can envision this with a community here, how we can do this, to take this boat and then take it back into the river and let it dissolve, or take it apart and use its part to make maybe another boat, but just it has to go back. That's the feeling as let's say, the artist who conceptualized, who came up with this idea.
So you're talking about the river Danube, or could it also be like this lake?
I wish it was the river Danube, because that's where it came. But in the meanwhile, I hope to see this garden grow.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it grows actually with even weeds, with simple plants that they come from this environment. I was thinking actually to add some bird houses, simple bird, and put seeds, and then have the birds eat the seeds, and as they shit, the plants grow. So there is many ways to make also this into a sustainable garden. It doesn't need us humans, but it needs nature to make it grow. That's another idea.
I mean, Seestadt actually, because I'm working now since many years here in Seestadt. Seestadt has kind of this almost crazy tradition that in those outskirts, sometimes there are flowers and plants really appearing where you think this is like some really incredible gardener project, but it's just happening sometimes very naturally. So, and I mean, when we look at this place now that we are sitting here, of course, I mean, we have the amazing lake, but I think when you would like to kind of to for this summer to create more of a urban gardening life on and around your object.
That's my wish, and I'm sure Gabi and Bernd that we are in contact would like to do this, and I hope I have the opportunity to see this happening. That was the whole idea actually when I did this, to see this growing with the participation of the community. And also their wish, what they see, what they would like to see, what kind of plants they would like to see.
Yeah.
So it's a public project.
So something I'm realizing that I'm a really bad interviewer, because I mean, I know you're coming back in July. This is you said to me that you will be here in July.
I will be back in July because I have another project.
Yeah. But I think I didn't ask you actually about like your artistic practice, where you live, where you come from, where you're around. Okay. So I think let's put the start like now to this point.
Okay, so we can start from this. I was born and grew up in Athens, Greece. And after my high school studies, I wanted to be an artist, but I chose to be an artist in New York. And I moved to New York, where I did all my undergraduate and graduate studies. I love New York. I decided to make New York my home. But since my family was in Athens, I started going back and forth. So now I'm working both in both cities. I'm a professor at the university. I teach new media art and public environment at the New School of Social Research in New York. But also sometimes I teach as a visiting professor at the School of Fine Arts in Athens. I'm very interested in, very early I started working in public art. As living in New York and being engaged with the culture, this amazing culture of New York where everybody and everything meets. I was very interested in, as I said, in public art, but also I was very interested in research and process. So my work was never about making, like say, a painting, making a sculpture from scratch and put it in a gallery. I was more interested in the process of making, of interacting with communities, allowing my work community to participate. So I would say my work has also a social aspect that comes in and informs what I'm doing. And I find this very rewarding because it has so much energy. I like research, and also I am very interested in meeting other communities and people and have this exchange, which is so valuable. I think in contemporary art, actually, we see that. So maybe they have questions.
Yeah. So
Do you have any questions? Yes?
Yes. I was wondering, I'm from Belgium, by the way. So I was wondering, if, all the stories about the boat, are you gonna collect them in some, I don't know, in a project that we can read them?
That's my idea. That's a very good question, because that's why I felt after now few months have gone by that because the vet is carrying this, I have to add this aspect of this boat. So one idea was I was collaborating with a sound artist in Vienna. And we thought that maybe, but I don't know if it will be possible here. It needs to have some kind of an acoustic element that you hear the stories. But if we cannot do that, another way is connect the story through technology. And as I have this QR code there that you can find out more about the story of the boat, I was thinking maybe I can find another system that you can retrieve stories through your phone or through the internet by creating another element. So I'm thinking a lot about this. And that's why also I'm very interested about the seeds feeding, because bringing seeds from different parts, every seed has also another story.
Yes.
So the vessel becomes also the carrier of stories, of plants, of seeds. So it becomes more, a container of so many layers and so many
it's
things.
past, the present, and the future.
Yes, I'm thinking about this a lot. And we were talking earlier about this. I say, I feel I have to do more now.
Yeah.
I know I do. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
There's over question. We prepared some plants.
Okay,
was
so
that we-
everybody let's plant something. Yes.
So we plant something all
Yes.
together. There are like 6 or 7 plants and a lot of seeds. So we invite you.
Yes, let's do that. That would be wonderful. Let's do that. Oh, that's the water.